Warriors, Sport Prepper here. We've got something that I think you've all probably heard about. We're just going to touch on it today and talk about it a little bit. There's apparently this hurricane called Hurricane Ian heading to Florida and a few places out there. And I think it's worth talking about because I've been reading some articles on it. I've been following it. I've been watching it for a while, and I've been watching it grow. But it's interesting because, well, we'll get into that. Anyway, the weather's fair. Fall has finally hit. We'll probably get some more heat as well. But as far as fall goes, fall is officially here, which means that winter will shortly follow. And as preppers, you should be prepping for the winter. Either way, there's a hurricane called Ian heading for the Keys, I believe, is where it's supposed to, predicted impact is supposed to be. And right now it's only a Category 1, but it's expected to get stronger, have winds at about 100 miles per hour by the time it hits Florida. But I'm going to pull up the article really quick, and I'm going to touch on a few things that I noticed when I saw the article, but looky here. Now I'm gonna ask you something. What do you notice? I left the image a little bigger because I want you to notice something on there. What do you notice? Well, you guessed right. You see that big old line? Yes, that's a line of human beings. That's a line of people. What does that tell you? Yeah, people don't prepare. People aren't. The vast majority of people don't prepare. They're not preppers. They don't have anything more in their house than about maybe what they're going to eat the day after, and then some snacks. But they don't keep anything in their house that's going to last them any sort of time. And this is disturbing for me. This is disturbing to me because it reminds me of just how little bit of people do any sort of preparing, do any sort of anything that's going to keep them alive in these days. Do any sort of prepping at all. And you know what that also tells you? That tells you that people have no idea where we are in life. That tells you that people have no idea what's going on around them. These people are heading to the grocery store to stock up on food as the hurricane is right on their border. Have they been reading nothing in the news? The fact that people are going out now to stock up on food and water, and something I've read was that people are mainly buying up a bunch of water because it's a human instinct that you need water to survive. The fact that people are only just now trying to rampage into the store and buying up stuff is just sick. It's sickening, and it's quite telling, quite revealing. You see, warriors, this is why we have to be preparing, because God forbid something catastrophic hits and alerts go off and such, and you're out somewhere. The last thing you want to do is have to go to the grocery store. The only thing you want to have to do is head home. Is head to wherever you're going to be. Head to your bug out location or your bug in location. That's what you want. Because if you have to go to the store, if something happens and you decide, oh man, I need this because it looks pretty bad, so I need to go to the store and get this, you're not prepared enough. I'm not saying that you're not preparing, and I'm not confusing you. I'm not accusing you of not preparing. What I am saying is that you should already be at a state of where you don't have to get mixed up in all of this pandemonia. You don't have to get mixed up in all of this rubbish that people run to the store when they hear hurricanes coming instead of already having stuff on hand. It's not good. People are the chaos is already starting to ensue down there in Florida, and I guarantee you it's only going to get worse. I guarantee you it's only going to get worse. People are only going to start rampaging the stores and causing stampedes even more. Apparently they've already started evacuating some places in Florida because of how severe the storm is expected to be. It's expected to be quite severe. It's expected to be quite damaging to certain places. They're predicting a lot of flooding. They're saying it's gonna be flood. It's gonna get pretty wet down there, and that floods are gonna impact the state pretty badly. The state of Florida pretty badly. And they're predicting some chaos. I don't know how bad it's gonna be, but I used to live down in Florida, and I know how bad it gets with hurricanes. I've lived through a few of the hurricanes that came through there. And I'll tell you from first experience, hurricanes are terrifying things. And it's just non-stop wind and non-stop rain for hours, sometimes even days. You just get non-stop gusts of wind. Houses down there have to be built to a certain spec because of the hurricanes. People have to, you can't build a house down there. As a contractor, you can't build a house down there without it meeting certain specs, because they know how bad the hurricanes get. And the house that you build has to be to that spec. So I know how bad hurricanes get, and I'll tell you right now, they are scary things. You don't want to live through a hurricane, especially if you have not prepared. Especially if you're all of a sudden hit by a hurricane and you have nothing. These are reasons why you and I, warrior, why we do what we do, why we are warriors and preppers. This just goes to show how alone we are in our state of being, how alone we are in our preparedness walk, because that's what has been in the news for the last few months. All they've been talking about is Russia and Ukraine, and how Putin is gonna be reprimanded heavily if he decides to use nuclear conduct. That's all they've been talking about. And somehow these people have still not prepared. Somehow these people have still not at least bought water and food. They've had months. This nuclear talk has been in the news for months, and somehow these people have not decided, it might be a good idea for me to get a little prepared. It might be a good idea for me to get a little bit of water, just in case, I don't know, a nuke goes off, or just even a bomb goes off in my area. It takes a hurricane. Here's my point. It takes the event happening for these people to realize that they should have prepared. It takes the event happening. It takes the chaos happening for these people to realize, for these sheeple to realize that they should have prepared. You don't want that to be you, warriors. You don't want that to be you, and it shouldn't be you. If you're watching this channel, if you're watching this channel, then I know you do your part as far as prepping goes. You're above, you're ahead. I won't say above, but you're ahead of the curve. You're ahead of the people that are seen in that picture that I showed you. It's a shame that this is where we are. It's a shame that this is where humans are. You see, back in the old days, you would do traveling. If you traveled, and I'm not talking about like 1980 something, I'm talking about way back. If you traveled to a place where hurricanes were a thing, if you traveled to a place where hurricanes were common, or the places known to have hurricanes, the residents there were known to have hurricanes, then the residents that lived there already had protocols that they knew to do, already had things set in place that they knew to do in case of hurricane. There were already things that everybody knew was commonplace in that part of the world. That's how things were run over there, because the threat of a hurricane was imminent at all times. Nowadays, that's not the case. Nowadays, people, life is lived under governance. Life is lived through someone else. These people live their life through the government. They live their life through whoever is telling them what to do. And they're okay with it. They're okay with that being the way they live. They're okay with just being told what to do. These people that are... Guys, just let this sink in for a moment. And I'm not hating on these people. I'm not hating on these people. But it takes the government saying, hey, there's a hurricane coming. Or it takes the government saying, hey, you need to evacuate, for these people to even begin to make a move. It takes the event happening for these people to even begin to make a move towards life insurance on their own. Not through the government, but on their own. And that's just scary, guys. That shows you where we are. That shows you where we are as a people, and as where we are as a race, as a human race. Humans have survived many a different catastrophes. Catastrophes is the way most people probably pronounce it. Humans have survived many catastrophes throughout many different ages because of the sheer grit we have, because of the brain that God gave us, animals, us, but we have the edge on smarts, on just techniques. And that has been throughout just humanity. We've always survived. But I'll tell you right now, guys, humanity has never been so dumb. Humanity has never been so bogged down just by frivolous stupidity as we are now. And I'm going to also say this. Humans have survived throughout the ages because of sheer instinct. But the birds are migrating. A bunch of birds just flew overhead. They're heading north. I don't know if you can hear that. They're heading north. But humans have survived because of instinct, because of knowledge. That is not the way humans are going to survive if anything should ever happen nowadays. If something should ever happen, if something should ever become, if some catastrophe ever happens again, it's not going to be that. It'll be because of you and I that humanity survives. And of course, God. He's the only thing that's going to see it through. But as far as humans go, it'll be you and I, the warriors, that held on to those instincts, that held on to, instead of just looking at your phone to determine the weather, we still look at the sky and say, you know, a storm's coming. It's because of that instinct that humans will survive. It'll be us, our children, our wives, our little ones that are going to inherit the world if anything should happen. When the thing happens, when everything goes down, it'll be us. Because billions of people are going to die. If this hurricane hasn't shown you anything, it's that billions of people are going to die once the bombs go off, once something happens. Scary thought. But that's just the way it is. You know? A prophet is never accepted in his own country because people won't prepare. People don't know what's coming. They never will know what's coming. Because they won't lift their head up. They won't pull their head out of their phone, pull their head out of the sand. They won't wind their neck in. Sad, really. Anyway, warriors, just thought I'd come on here and say that. Get prepared. Don't be these sheeple in the picture I showed you. Don't be the people. Don't be the sheeple that have no inclination of survival and then try to trample each other when a hurricane is coming. Don't be those people. Stay out of the stores. Stay out of the places that are going to have you trampling each other because you didn't prepare or your neighbor didn't prepare. You don't want to be a part of that. You want to be the guy who sees the hurricane coming and is like, I have everything I need. I've got all I need right here. I don't have to go to the store. I'm set and I'm not afraid. The only thing that you should be worrying about in a situation like this is just watching the hurricane and deciding, you know, this might be one that's a little strong, so I may go bug out somewhere that's kind of far away from here. You know, that should be the only thing that warriors like us should have to worry about. Anyway, warriors, stay out of the heat, keep prepping, and I'll see you on the line of battle.